students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. I'd like to welcome any visitors that we may have. Looks like we have several in the audience here. And at this time, we would be opening the public forum, if anyone would like to speak.
Roll call.
Oh, excuse me, roll call.
Porter,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Heffron, Johnson,
Here.
Moore, Thomas,
Here.
Whiskers.
Here.
Now we'll have the public forum, if we have anyone who would like to speak. Doesn't look like we have anyone, and so now I'd like to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I so move. Second.
I have a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
There's two different coaches on there that had one a contract for 75 days, one for 45 days. Is that what we approved? Did I just miss that in the approval?
Yeah, if it was in the minutes, that would have been what was in your packet.
Okay.
But I can look and see if it.
That's okay. I want to make sure that's what we did. I just couldn't remember doing that.
One for 75.
There's
Typically,
two.
the middle school is only
Middle school.
45. Are they both middle school?
Well, that's what I thought it said.
Yes, okay, so I see it. 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's our two, so we have two staff members who are gonna serve as co-head coaches for high school and middle school, cross country. And so we split, in order to stay true to the contract, instead of like creating a co-coach position, we split the two head and assistants.
Got it.
That
Okay,
way.
okay. I have no further questions in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes have been approved. Old business, approval of the baseball field sharing agreement.
Okay, so I took this back to the attorney with Dickinson Law Firm to kind of address some of our concerns. You can see some of the red line, it's in blue, in your document, just adding some of the things. We did a lot of referencing to Exhibit A, well, not a lot of, we did some referencing to Exhibit A, which is the maintenance agreement, to tie the things that were in the maintenance agreement into the 2080 that we were kind of looking for in the last meeting. I'm just looking around the room as I do that. Okay, good, I've got some people here. So you'll see when that's referenced, that just means the maintenance agreement. So it just ties each section into some of those. We talked about, he said he could put that language in separately, but tying it to the Exhibit A they were already wanting to use in their version made it a little quicker and cleaner for us. Clarification on who will play where. So junior high would play on the practice field that will receive some updates when the weather's better to get those updates. We're looking at a slightly smaller piece of a more forgiving turf in that area that has the bad turf right now. But they can't really do anything about it until the weather gets a little bit better to mess with the ground on that. And he said he'd communicate with me as we go through that, so we kind of know what the changes are and how that might impact our students. Freshmen will play on the big field. The freshman team would be considered a JV2 team to be able to play on the big field, so we have that.
I think my only other question I had with the changes, and I think there was a lot of clarification, so I appreciate everybody's work on that. And maybe it's just because I haven't been to our games down there. When it comes to staff responsible for cleaning up of press box bleachers and whatnot, is that gonna be something that typically the coaches do, or is that how that's been handled in the past?
We've typically had some small amount of responsibility to do a little bit of cleanup.
Which is fine, I
afterwards,
think we
yeah.
should, if we're,
Yeah.
if it's our game.
And it's not, I won't say that we leave it perfect by any means, because they have custodial folks that come in, but we do usually do a little cleanup afterwards, and what do you call it, where you take the thing over the field I'm a football guy, so we don't have to do all that much.
Tarp.
Where you rake it, is it raking it? Like rake the field to make it look nice and everything, so we usually have to do some of that at the end of the game too. But that doesn't seem to take a whole ton of time, the part that we've had to do. And it's something that we probably want taken care of with our own field too, so.
Looks good to me now.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the baseball field sharing agreement. Any more discussion?
The only thing there is scheduling, so we would look to fix that typo, with them on the date at the end of the maintenance agreement.
Motion to approve is correct.
Thank you, sorry.
Was that second Tom or Derek?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion to approve the baseball field sharing agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No,
No.
We have 2 no and 3 yes. Is that correct?
who didn't vote?
I didn't vote,
Oh, okay.
so I'll vote yes. So that makes it 4-2, is that correct? Okay, motion carries. New business. We have our student representative. Here she comes.
This Saturday, I'm sorry, my voice is kind of. Well, this Saturday, NHS is hosting a winter dance. And, last Thursday, we held the first girls wrestling meet. And spring play practices have started. We had the diary and prank, and hosted adventures in Washington. Honor band performed last Monday in Clark. And today, 5 kids participated in honor choir. Last Saturday, a large group speech got 1 rating for all categories. And Matt Giovanna got his 100th win this past weekend. And that's all I have for you.
All right, any questions?
Normally I would, but your voice is hurting, so I will spare you from that. But thank you for coming. Being sick, that's above and beyond the call, so thank you.
Good job.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Next one, resolution tentatively approving the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate total cost for the Centerville Community School District 2025 Howard partial roof replacement, and setting the time, date, and location for a hearing thereon. Further authorizing the posting of notice seeking competitive bids on the said 2025 Howard partial roof replacement project.
Nailed it.
That's a mouthful.
Hey, I got
I'm not making that, I'm just gonna say what he said in the
Yeah.
motion.
Okay. We have a motion.
Commissioner, do we know what we're doing, or we're just putting it, so we do have a bid from?
Yeah, this is,
No, I'm
in-
sorry, we do have a design based on.
yeah,
the
this,
EC
this is insurance work that Rochelle's done for us, that we've actually had the design for quite some time.
Okay.
And this is just actually putting out to bid, actually, to get it done this summer.
And EMC is basically paying for all of this.
Yeah.
So this is whatever it is, we're gonna get insurance. from.
Well, they had some certain stipulations that we had to have in our design, basically. So we got those into our design so that they pay for it.
Okay.
It has to be, what is the term they used, same materials or like materials or something like that. So they kind of,
Like or better.
yeah, I don't know if the term is like or better, I think it had to be the
As
same.
like material. Now there's one section, they said we could change the roof type if we wanted to, in which we are on one section of that roof. We are changing it from a TPO to an EPDM, but is actually in our favor because the TPO type of roof is actually more expensive than the EPDM. The EPDM, in my opinion, lasts longer and is easier to maintain. And then the entire roof section at Howard would be an EPDM roof. Which the only TPO part there is over the band room. So it's a smaller section.
Smaller than it should be, because it got cut back too much during construction. No.
You're,
Still have feelings.
and Mr. Beeson, you're happy with everything?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm very happy. I'm glad that hail happened when it did. That's, we're basically getting an all new roof to a point, except for the old gym, which we just replaced last summer. And it's not, they're not stripping it all the way down to the decking. Insurance is paying for the top layer of EPDM and the top layer of insulation. So they're stripping those two things off, which is what would have been damaged from hail, and then replacing that back, which basically in turn gives us an all new roof.
It really accelerated our roof plan.
That I can take one thing off of my long range plan by doing this, so it saves some money.
Okay, I believe we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I believe this is a roll call vote.
Berger,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Heck, Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes,
Vasquez.
Yes.
motion carries. Next one is approval of the FFA fundraiser. Sounds like it's strawberry time.
Yeah, and you know, this got left off the calendar we approved earlier on, and we're just trying to follow board policy, make sure we bring these up in front of the team. And it's also good because then you see in the board packet, and we talk about on the pitch for people about a strawberry fundraiser that people can support our FFA students with. So free press for them.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion about the FFA fundraiser? Hearing none. All those in favor of the FFA fundraiser, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve the purchase of the weight room equipment.
So because this money is coming into us from other organizations, very big donation from the Centerville Schools Foundation, helped get us over the edge on this one, get us to where we could get this. Big donation from the boosters, and they've collected some donations from some other organizations. Because it's all money coming into us and then we're spending it, we felt it best to take it to the board to approve spending that money instead of using an activity fund. Well, it may still be an activity fund, we just wanted also more good press for getting new weight room equipment, I guess. And those folks that helped us make that happen.
How soon will it be here?
Well, we were thinking, we've got those 2 mini spring breaks, we were thinking the second spring break they'd probably get here. Assuming everything works out the way it's supposed to through the system. Knock on wood.
Motion to approve.
Second. And thank you to everyone.
Motion and a second to approve the purchase of the weight room equipment. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the purchase of the weight room equipment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next one, approval of the National Criminal History Record Information Procedures and Policies.
So this is a new set of policies that schools just have to have on record. Lisa actually did a lot of good work. Not actually, Lisa always does a lot of great work. Lisa did a lot of great work.
Big
Like that for the
Yeah,
minutes.
she got the template from the, I don't remember who you got that from, to be honest with you. And then
DPI, or, yeah, DCI.
DCI, and then kind of worked with some colleagues and found some good answers that fit within our context. It's just to talk about how we handle that criminal background check information, how we guarantee the security of that information. Yeah, so now we'll have that policy, we would have that policy to be in compliance with all those laws on protecting that information and doing the right thing, which we're already doing. So now there's documentation to prove that.
Since we have to, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the National Criminal History Record Information. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the summer project list.
Aaron's been getting a little less sleep recently, so I gotta really, really help him out here.
You just found us what a good sleeper she is.
Ah,
Surprisingly.
if you didn't know, they have a baby now. Okay.
With these, the first one on these summer projects is the one I get asked about 1,000 times a day. Is renovating the home football bleachers at the football field. One of those pages is an estimate that I had gotten from a partner that we use a lot with this. Then I think one of those pages, I can't remember what order they're in, is a blueprint that he came up with, how he plans to design this, and how I told him that I wanted this redone, up to code and to make it handicap accessible. And then I had gotten you, with help from Cameron, gotten a overview of what the bleachers look like now. With this update, basically what will happen, the aisles will be wider. They will be putting handrails up the aisles. The platform, the bottom platform, will actually become wider because they will eliminate the very first row of bleachers. It will be raised up and pushed back, then add in 5 handicapped slots into that second row, which will then be the first row of bleachers. The east side of these bleachers, we will take away the stairs but add a U-ramp to make it handicap accessible. And then on the west side, instead of the ramp going back towards the stairs going back towards the north, we will just extend those stairs down west. Also, the wood kick plates underneath the seats will be taken out and aluminum will be put in. And then they will also, all the iron underneath, they will sandblast and repaint that as well. Overall, this project came in higher than we would have liked it. So it's, as of right now, with this company, it's $232,000. Which at that price, we will have to do a public bidding process. So I'm working with Rochelle right now to get that process started. We're hoping to get this done this summer. Trying to move that process on pretty quick.
Are we gonna need her design service?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yes, this was a
Yeah.
rough estimate. I came up with a company that we trust to show you what I intend it to look like, intend it to be, but then she will have to design it as well.
So we're not actually approving the expenditure tonight, we're basically approving Rochelle to go ahead.
Yes, just approving the project in whole. I just provided the estimate so you have a ballpark of the price range it could be at.
Go ahead, what are you thinking? I think you're thinking the same thing.
Well, I remember when we redid the field and we looked at doing this. My recollection is when we got that estimate of cost, it was gonna be substantially more than this.
Like 400,000 to 500,000.
Yeah,
That could be, this is not replacing all aluminum.
I thought though that
I think that
because
was tearing
of
it down and putting,
what we had to do to make it ADA compliant was gonna make it that price, because we had to do certain things. And that's why we had to back out of it at that time, is because of the ADA compliance and the price of it all.
Was that for the press box itself though?
No, not for the press box.
That was
are
just.
you concerned that an architect's design is gonna bring it back up to that cost? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Okay.
Well, the only way we'll know that is to do the
To do it,
design
but,
and
yeah.
see. And if it does, then we look at our
We'll reassess
long range
it.
plan and reassess. I know this company, we've talked to somebody who's used this company to do some of this kind of work before though. And I can't remember who that was, but I feel like this is the one we talked about, like, since my first year, isn't it?
I remember talking with Tim about this project, because this is something Tim had started on, getting estimates and talking about before I had started. And he had mentioned to me that one company he had gotten an estimate from was trying to upsell him, and was telling him that to be handicap accessible, if we touch the bleachers, then we have to touch the press box. Well, no, we're not touching the press box, we're just touching the
I
bleachers.
do remember that part of the conversation.
And that if we touch the press box, we have to add an elevator.
Yep.
I
which
think
would
that's what
shoot
we're
that
probably
price
gonna
up.
cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking with this guy, and I trust this guy with my life, with his knowledge, that that is not the case at all.
And
Per code.
I guess a couple things, I 100% agree this needs to happen, I support it. But I guess my recollection of it is that information that you're just speaking of, came from Rochelle to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think our hope in having this to where you say like, yeah, we're interested in the projects that we've got listed tonight is that he can start to unleash the beast and get with Rochelle and get it done and find that out. Because if we find out now that that's gonna be the case, then we still have time to take something that's in next year's 5-year or the year after and move that to this year and move this one back if we need to. But if we wait too long, we'll lose that ability.
So we're just kind of approving to move forward, looking into it.
I think what we're doing is we're gonna move forward, if we approve this as it's presented, we're gonna approve the fire system update and the summer painting labor. Because those are under bid thresholds, or under architect thresholds. I shouldn't say bid threshold, but architect
And we
threshold.
can't approve the other ones. since we
So
have to
it
do
would
that.
be to approve those,
Yeah.
and then, so I'm gonna make a motion, then I'm gonna come back and make a second motion.
Can I add something to the discussion?
Sure.
And I don't mean any disrespect to Rochelle, but this gentleman that you've been talking to about the bleachers, does he have an architect that he works with?
I don't know if he has an architect he works with now.
Okay. We don't
These
have
ble-
to use Rochelle. We could get an estimate from her about what she thinks the design fee would be, and then we could maybe look at someone else.
I think we know pretty fast, because I'll set up a meeting with Rochelle down at the bleachers
Okay,
themselves.
that'd be fine.
And I think within a couple of weeks, we'll know for sure, I'll know for sure how far she's pushing.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think we need some more information of but the part of the advantage of going with Rochelle is that they did all the design on the field anyway, so there should be a lot of that work.
Measurements are there, and a lot of that stuff, because we did look into it when we
We're
first,
not starting from scratch.
yeah.
Okay, that's a valid point.
So do we have that information from the football field?
We would have that
Would it still be
information.
valid?
We would have the information when we initially looked into it. I would assume they would have it, or we would have it somewhere.
Yeah, I think
It got valued engineered really quickly.
Right,
But,
Sure.
but surely that's still, somebody still has that, so that should.
Probably in one of the
Should.
files.
Cut
Yeah.
down on some of the design time.
U- Usually that's the case.
Let's see where you're going.
I'm gonna make two motions, so my first motion I'm gonna make, and we'll have to vote on these individually, because you can't have two motions on the table at the same time, is I move that we approve the fire system update and painting labor project for the summer projects as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to take care of the fire detection system and those other upgrades.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Mr. Wiskus.
I'd also like to make a motion that the board approve basically Mark and Aaron to move forward with getting more information and engage an architect for the design of the bleachers.
do we need a motion?
I don't know, but I'm just,
I think a motion is appropriate.
I mean, I make a motion that we tentatively approve the home football bleacher renovations project moving forward and engage an architect to see what we need to do. In other words, I want the board to say yes to the project,
Yeah.
but there's architecture that needs to be done.
And so
So
unfortunately,
I'm trying to affirm and support the admin.
yeah, I think, well, will we have to meet again with those bids though, once we get them, so you could,
Because you'll have to do B.
right,
Because we'll have to do the bid because it's over the 196,000 number, whatever it is.
I'd support second motion to move forward with more information.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. So,
We have a motion to look to move forward into
Um,
procuring
I
more.
make a motion to engage an architect to continue work on the home football bleacher project.
Got it? That's your second? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Both of them. Next one, approve the creation of a four-day week task force for the 26-27 school year.
So I believe I've probably been like about as open as I can be about my own personal feelings on 4-day week. I'm really not personally a big fan of it, but I do feel that we have a number of families that have expressed interest in that, I think it's our responsibility to listen to our public and to look into what our public thinks about these things and to know what that looks like. So what I'm proposing is that we adopt a traditional calendar for next year in the next couple meetings. I've already met with the calendar committee, we've done some work to start getting that rolling. But that we spend a year having a group, and I've got kind of in the board packet here, a general idea of what I'd like that group to look like. So I'd like to have a couple board members, if possible. I'll serve on it, I've got a couple administrative reps. A variety of teachers, some support staff, a variety of parents from the different levels, and 1 or 2 community/employer representatives, maybe somebody from PACT, so we can talk about the impacts on our local, like childcare for employees, and what that looks like for people who are working in different jobs in our community. I think that, I don't wanna just recommend things based on how I feel about it. I wanna make sure that I'm being responsive to what people are bringing to me, and being transparent, in that process. And I think to do this, we can get some updates from this task force. I'd like to have them go out, and interview some folks in some districts that are already doing a 4-day work week to see how it's impacted some of those things. Kind of the traditional concerns that come up are childcare, food insecurity, does it have an impact on the academics of the school, things of that nature. So just really interviewing the people that are in that work and finding out how it's gone. Trying to dig through, there's a lot of like happy shiny faces on these things sometimes. It's all rose-colored glasses. Really trying to see what the reality is, to see how the challenges were dealt with and what it did for a school district. And giving our public at large the opportunity to share, hopefully in a couple town hall style events next fall, to kind of share their feelings on this and see if the parents in our district are truly interested in this. Not saying I'm advocating one way or the other, just really giving us the opportunity to listen in and see what people have to say. We've talked at this table a few times about how some people have shared that a 4-day week has driven some open enrollment out. This kind of gives us the chance to see if that's true when the rubber meets the road, or whatever you have to say for that. Is it truly that, or is that a thing to say? And we can dig this out. So looking at a handful of times for these people to go out, do some interviewing, do some town halls, and learn from our community a little bit. So not committing to a 4-day week, not saying we're gonna do a 4-day week, just saying we would dig up the information to find out if it is right for us or not.
I guess where you spoke before, maybe it was an email or whatever, I think it's important. I have my own reservations about a 4-day week, but I think it's important to, when doing this research, look for like districts,
Yeah.
not, maybe our neighbors ones that are a lot smaller. If there's like size districts,
Sadell would be one for us.
economic,
Yes, I think,
that's.
again, we all have our opinions on it, and that's not the point of this. But yeah, I think we've got to look into it. I mean, I'll be honest, I've had questions both ways. The comments I've heard are, please don't ever do it.
I've heard some of that too. I've heard some of both.
But I think we owe it to everybody involved to do this, and I like the structure of this, and not just, jumping headfirst into it.
I guess I kind of think about the districts that have done this, that are like size, And I'm sure, the idea is to save money, I'm sure, but how do you actually do
So
that?
generally, the financial, because I think maybe early on when some small schools in some states started to do that, maybe they said that. Anybody you talk to in our state that's changed over has said they really haven't realized any savings. It was more staff recruitment, it was, parents that wanted to have 3-day weekends with kids. I try to stay away from my kids as much as I can. But,
It's safer.
yeah, it is, but like the family time thing, I don't think people have a lot of time with family, and, the financial savings has been pretty minuscule. You save a little bit on like bus transportation costs, so fuel, for that last day, but generally, most of the districts have done enough with salaries that they're not cutting somebody's pay from the year before to that first year, which I think would be the right thing to do in our case too. We don't have enough time finding the right people. We don't wanna send anybody away because we cut 20% of somebody's pay in a year. So I would plan to recommend doing the same.
What has the state thought about this, the legislature?
There was some grumbling, going into this session, that there were some, lawmakers who had some concerns about the 4-day week out there. I've yet to hear, we're kind of in that phase, Larry Signal said this at the budget workshop we were at today. This is kind of the everybody puts out their crazy bills time of year, where every individual congressman or senator or whatever can put out their own personal bills. And you see some weird off the wall things, nothing's come out on that yet from anybody. So I'm gonna guess that means that the stomach for it isn't really there. I also know there's some people really on the opposition side of taking away that local control too. A lot of people who are saying if we want schools to compete, then we need to give them the tools to be able to compete. And one of those is using a calendar that they feel meets their community's needs. So I won't say that it never happened, because Missouri did 2 studies on it fairly recently. And that's kind of the big study that people are referring to a lot now. They've gotten a significant number of schools on 4-day week in Missouri, and it kind of spread from small schools out to bigger schools there. And we're just at the beginning of that turning point right now in Iowa. Sadell adopted last year, I think it was. Cardinal adopted just a few years ago. They're a little bit smaller than us, but they're a conference school. You're starting to see more of the 2A, 3A schools get into the game a little bit.
Cardinal's not even in the same socioeconomic class as us, though.
Yeah, there's some differences. There's some big differences. And I think what we're gonna have to do to find a school that's similar to us for people to visit, we're gonna have to look at one school probably for size, one school for socioeconomic status. We're gonna have to piece it together a little bit. There are so many differences between the Iowa system and the Missouri system that I think it probably doesn't behoove us to look at much out of Missouri, except for maybe some of the like daycare things and things of that nature, but probably Iowa schools for the most part to look at. If that helps. I hope that was the right answer to the question, sorry.
No, I think it's good. Yeah. I'll have to think about it.
I'd make the motion to approve the creation of a 4-day week task force for the 26-27 school year.
I second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would just go out on that and say that I would definitely volunteer to be one of the board reps on that
Thank you.
as well.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion to create the 4-day week task force. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We are ready for the director reports. Who goes first?
Well, let's start with directors. So Mike, do you want to be the first one up?
Sure can. I'm just sitting right here, and I feel like I'm looking at the back of this chair. You guys can't see that. My report tonight, I think this is something that I bring up every single time, but I feel like I need to go in depth on this. The situation with how many drivers we have is currently probably the worst I've seen it in the last 8 years. The one sub that I could call sideline is a medical issue for an unknown amount of time. Leaving just myself to be able to substitute drive with someone's gone, which has been a lot this year. Today I calculated, I think it's the 94th day of school. I've had 73 absences. That's not including, that's people being sick, flex days, bereavement, variety of absences. That's not including the 52 bus activities that we've had so far this year. So not only maybe someone gone, we also have to fill those as well. I have some very dedicated drivers. I'm not saying that I don't. I have several that feel like they can't miss work because they feel that kids are at risk of not getting to school, and that's really the situation we're going to be in. And it could happen tomorrow. I'm just being real with you guys. I want to be as transparent as I can about how serious this is getting. I know we've had discussions, and we've advertised, but to no avail. We have 10 routes per day. I've trimmed these routes down to, they can't be combined. We have to go as far as, 8-10 miles southeast of X-Line all the way to South Fork. So we got a lot of ground to cover. The average age of my drivers is 61 years old. Many of them have elderly parents, they have older spouses, they have medical problems themselves, or they may need to miss work. Things can happen at any time. I myself have been driving almost every day and every night. I know I have for the last 3.5 weeks. I don't mind driving. It's not that I don't want to be in a bus, but it's, that means that I'm out on the road and there's no one at the shop. So if we have an emergency, I could be at South Fork and we could have a kid, we could have something happen south of X-Line. I'm 50 minutes away. We got kids sitting alongside the road. It's cold out. Luckily it hasn't snowed. That's just a few of my concerns. It's the only recommendation I have for you guys is I've talked to other districts, some are in the same situations as us, some are significantly better. The ones that are significantly better require other support staff employees to get a bus certification. And that's truly what I need. I need somebody, several, 2 or 3 people, ideally 4 people, 10, as many as I can get, but I need somebody that I can call and say, hey, I gotta have you here. I'm only one person, I can only drive one bus at once, so I don't wanna get in this place where I have to call parents and say, we can't get your kids to school today. We've got the equipment to do it, we just need the bodies.
Are you saying some districts are mandating?
Davis County is, but that's because they have the trainer in-house, so they get to train them for free.
But you could, little schools have a lot like Moravian stuff, I try not to use them as apples.
And I wasn't asking for a district's name, I'm just more of, they're mandating support staff to get bus drivers.
Well, yeah, they do, and they don't have any problems.
Pop across to the bus barn, get a training.
Yeah. And I'm not against being able to train anybody. I guess I just have to have somebody to train first.
I'm just thinking more of the human resource side of mandating an employee to take that responsibility on. That's where I was actually thinking.
And Kevin, I can't speak to that. All I know is that's how they've solved it. I'm not sure how they've done it.
Would it be worth putting something out to our support staff and?
We
Or have
do
you
frequently, yeah.
Okay.
And actually, we have 2 coaches
I just
that
feel like
just got their,
Yeah.
or they're getting their endorsement. They just got their officials, but they're now gonna get bus driving for next year too. So that's another group we're working with. This was a topic of conversation, not so much on the route side, but trying to take the activities off the route folks a little bit. At the SEC superintendent meeting, we all talked about who all is paying coaches drive time for driving events, and that's something that I think we would be wise to do as soon as we get 1 or 2 trained. So generally, the consensus was pay them for the drive time there, not the sit time, because they're on the clock as a coach during that time, and the drive time back. So that is one tool that we can use, and I think we've got some interested in that. Somebody at the middle school, I think, wasn't it?
Smart Whistler.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
And he's gonna be licensed soon. But I'm honestly, athletics at this point are in the back of my mind as far as that, because we're just so close to, I mean, like I said, it can be tomorrow, we don't have enough guys to get in buses and take kids to school. I need somebody to call and say, hey, I gotta have some help today. And ideally, it's somebody that works in the district.
So, let's just say one of our other employees is called upon to drive the bus. Would they be paid as a bus driver, or would they just be paid?
Some bus
And
They would have a separate contract.
how would that compare to what they're getting paid? Is there?
Well, for associates, it could be a good jump up
Be
in
a
some
paid
cases.
raise, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I'm not trying to single out any group of people, I'm just saying, I
There are
need some options.
there are some districts, and I would be open to this, in fact, I've talked to a few for this, for teachers, if we could get to the point where we could do the pay to sub a period for somebody on their planning period for a teacher to go drive, if we needed to sub that last period. So I think we're open to any employment group getting it and finding the solution to that. And we've had some conversations with some individuals to try to encourage, so, I think that's the trick, we just have to be as proactive as we can be with that, and, really stay on encouraging people.
What's the report time in the morning?
It really depends on their out, Kevin, anywhere from 6 to, I mean, something, even like this time here, probably even be there, I get there about 5:30, 4:10, anywhere from there till 6:30.
Is
Probably
it,
6:30 would be the
is it
latest.
the money, the early report time that keeps recruiting?
I think it's the fact that there aren't a lot of bodies, I mean, everybody's looking for workers.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't pinpoint what it is.
Brian,
Yeah,
a lot.
3 associates, I think, right? Brian, you've got a few associate spots you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm actually a decent associates. I don't know. I can't speak for busing. I thought it was busing's hard to. This isn't hard to get the certification.
Well,
I know that was
Mike
kind
went
of
through it,
right.
but
But it was.
Yeah, it
I heard
is.
It's
It
difficult.
was for someone that I didn't have any
Yeah.
CDL, it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I've heard it's difficult.
It was,
I remember that umbrella.
and it's
Yeah.
nothing,
It's tough.
it's what the state and the feds have done.
Yeah, it's
to
not.
make it that
Yeah,
way.
it's nothing we're doing.
Specifically the feds. I
Yeah,
guess.
so,
Do you think it would have been different if you would have had the option just to do the week-long Mason City versus?
I did the Mason
Oh, you
City.
did the Mason
And
City.
if that
And
was,
still.
for me, that was the best option.
Okay.
It's only 2 days.
that's another, this challenge, like we talked about, how long it took for you guys to take off work, you
Yeah.
gotta, if it's someone that's in the district, obviously we can work, like Mark, I think went over on a PD day and was able to do the training that he needed, he didn't have to worry about it going to his
Right.
job.
Right, and that was the tough thing for me having a full-time job, is like where I went to Mason City, they don't give you, you can't say, hey, I wanna come this day.
They tell you.
They say, no, you're coming this day,
Yeah.
and then to try to figure it out. Now, there's more programs that have popped up in
Yeah.
the state now, but, that's the,
For you, it worked best, and the
Yeah.
price is also considerably better.
Right. right,
But like Mark already has a Class A
Yeah.
CDL, so his training is considerably less than what you have to go through.
yeah.
So that does help.
Do we pay for the training?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was
I guess
actually, we had to get that corrected.
we approved a board policy and
It's
pay,
been
pay package.
a
to do it.
long time ago, I think.
Well, we approved how we're gonna pay some fees and,
Yeah.
kind of upfront some of the background checking so that people don't have to pay, would be reimbursed, and I know we did that.
Do
If we
we
know
pay?
if we know some younger retirees, you know, that seems like all of us know. We should try to work on them. I just think a couple people that I know right now that are younger retirees and they might wanna do it. Or at least I would be willing to ask them. I can think of one right now, I'll see soon. Yeah, because they, you know, you've got some retirees working, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, well, like I said, like, the average age of my driver is 61 years old, so.
So,
You have
Not
trouble-
everybody-
I'm not saying that that's a
61.
bad thing, I'm just saying, you know, they're not gonna be around forever, right? You know, they're gonna have medical issues.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What do you say about 61-year-olds?
I'm not
Yeah,
I kind of personally
Boy,
want to
Pass that
I just feel that it's my responsibility to try to bring to light these
No, I
issues, so you guys aren't bombarded someday when.
So another question is,
Be the only one.
if you've got a bus driver that comes in, this is where I'm going, comes in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and now they have an activity that's gonna be they're gonna drive a few hours away, they're not gonna get home until 10 o'clock, then they gotta come back at 6. That's a long
Happens
day.
all the time.
Yeah.
What if you had more activity drivers, would that help, or do these drivers like
So,
the extra trips?
That's a touchy subject, because my drivers, I have several of them that like the extra money to do the
Okay.
activities, but the problem with that being, someone has to drive their bus while they're gone, because most of these leave before their bus route's over for the day.
Okay.
So, let's say you're a bus driver and you're going to Cardinal tonight for a basketball game, and you're leaving at 3 o'clock. Well, at 3 o'clock, you're supposed to be driving your bus, so somebody's gotta drive it.
So
Which
could
would be
you,
me, and if Brian's the bus driver and he's sick today, or out of
But to
luck.
what you're saying, if there were somebody who said, I can only drive afternoon routes.
that's where I'm going with
That
that.
would
What if
be-
you have somebody that says, hey, I'll do subs just in the afternoon?
That's all I need, I mean, that would, not all I need, but that would
That
make
would
it
be big.
75% better, yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking, how do you go out and do recruiting pitches? Like, hey, if you don't want to get up at,
At this point, Kevin, if they say I wanna work 1 day a week, I'm gonna let them work 1 day a week.
Yeah.
what I'm trying to figure out is how do you get the message out? Because
Yeah.
if you say,
Well, everyone's situation's different, and if we're smart about bus driving at the time of day, it's early in the
Yeah.
morning and in the middle of the day.
because quite frankly, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning for 40 years. I'm kind of tired of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, honestly,
Yeah.
it is. I did that for 40 years. But the thought of doing a activity or an afternoon route, that changes a little bit for somebody who, those of us who are 61 or about to turn 61, that maybe you just want to do an afternoon
Yeah.
route. It might be a way to recruit people if that's a need and that's a solution.
I think one of the, I guess, because I've tried to get people to come on too, and, you know, told them, hey, I enjoy it, I have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest, to me, when I talk to people about it, one of the biggest obstacles is people that I've talked to don't know really the procedure on how,
Yeah.
where to start and how to do everything. So I think as a
Are
district,
you talking as far as getting trained, or just,
so taking the test,
oh?
getting the license, doing the medical, then going and getting the training and the online stuff, and I think if there was maybe a way
And
that,
if they're, I'll get them through all that, I mean, I just need somebody to come to me and say, I'm interested, and I'll lock on to it.
well, but I think.
They're just so confused that they don't even know where to start.
Right, and I think.
And that's
I think as a-
understandable, because it's a lot.
As a district, if we could maybe somehow streamline that and put it as a better package.
Take that info online on DOT
Yeah,
site.
Mike,
It's-
Yeah.
Mike, I'd like you to get with Jared, who does a lot of great work with Canva for our Facebook. And if the two of you pop together on Canva, kind of here's the steps you need to take, here's who you contact for that, we can blast it on Facebook once a month that way.
Okay.
And make sure we're encouraging, I think that'd be proactive.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, first off, like it was scary, right? Because I didn't know anything about it, and I think that getting over that threshold for some of the people that were like, hey, yeah, I thought about that, but, so they know the steps.
If somebody's had a CDL in the past, that doesn't help. You have to have the CDL at
Not
that
if you
time.
let it lapse. No.
Yeah, okay.
So the
If
next
you know
option,
anybody that has one, tell them to never let that happen.
I had mine lapse so long ago.
I let something lapse and regret it. So another question then is, how hard is it to learn the routes? Because that's something I think about as a subs, like, oh my gosh, how do you learn the routes where kids get on, kids get off?
Honestly, I've had guys that you can hand a sheet of paper to, and they never have to write on the route, and they can just go do it. Like myself, I've lived around here my whole life, I know where everybody lives, I mean, it just depends.
But it's
on
the
who
kids,
it is.
where do you stop for each kid? That's kind of what I'm thinking is.
Oh, I have turn-by-turn directions of everything.
Okay. And stop at this house number and stop at that house number.
Right, yeah.
That'd be a little early backseat.
Like I said, that if you're, say Brian, who only lived here for 6 months, and he doesn't know where, you know, that's the challenge of some people, if they haven't lived around here, it's tougher for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of our challenges, we need to figure out how to accommodate for people, because we can't make this a place where only people who've lived around here for a long time
Yeah.
can do it, so.
Well, I mean, we got a live television audience right now, so to speak, so just trying to bring up that if somebody's out there who would like to do it, there's afternoon routes available, so you don't have to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
There's turn-by-turn directions, we'll walk you through the training process, and we got sheets that say, stop at this house.
Absolutely, and I'll let anybody ride on a route as long as it needs you to learn what I always have.
Okay.
I never cap the days. I've heard districts where they say,
Okay.
we only go one time and then we
Yep.
feed you to the wolves. That's absolutely not gonna turn anybody loose doing something they're not comfortable doing.
Yep.
No, just for TV land, I love every minute of bus driving. Seriously, it is so much
It
fun.
really, Mike, it has a stigma that, I mean, yeah, there's times when I've gotten off a bus and was mad, but 90 times out of, I'd say 95 times out of 100, you're not.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every trip I've taken. You know, and I obviously only do the trips, but it's.
Oh, so you're taking all the activity trips?
No, when they can't do it, if I'm available, I'll take it. So, but it is.
I hate to be a
it's great
downer,
time.
but I just feel that it's, you know, I just want you guys to be aware.
You feel like it's coming.
I feel like you need to know what the reality is, and I don't want you to feel like we're the only ones, because obviously we're not.
Well, I travel around the state from time to time, and every town's got
There's
signs.
a bus with a
Drivers
sign hanging on it, you know, and has so long
one
with
is
the
in every
sign.
town in Iowa,
Yeah.
probably in Missouri too.
So Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was at a ball game earlier this year, and the bus driver, he'd gotten a call, I think maybe somebody had quit, or not quit, but called in or done something. And he was trying to get it into the schedule where he could dump kids at like Cardinal, drive over to another school, drop some wrestling kids off. So he was making a big,
We've actually done that.
big loop,
Yes,
but that's
If you,
the work
if
they're
I
actually
can
doing.
coordinate it that way, absolutely.
But I mean, I seen that, I didn't realize we were having to do things like
We
that.
did that
Oh,
tonight
yeah.
to transport middle school kids, didn't we, Mike?
Yeah, I mean,
And we didn't even take the whole team because we didn't have room for them.
there's a good example, and we're not the only ones. Like I said, I'm not trying to make
Right.
us feel like we are,
But there's drivers going above and beyond.
but, oh, yeah, well,
That needs to be
and
recognized.
somebody, a director probably sitting there scratching his head, like I do, how can we do this with this amount of people, you know? So,
One more question I have. When someone is taking the training, are they being paid?
yes. Yeah, that's why paid training means that, correct?
I did mine a little different.
Yeah, you did, but what I'm saying is if we went to some of our other employees, whoever they might be, and tell them, we are going to pay you bus driver wages to go to the training. And then when we call you, we'll pay you bus driver wages.
We've done quite a bit of that with individual employees.
And before all this ELDT stuff's happened, and we were able to train our own drivers, yes, they were paid. But it was also a lot less training, because a lot less training was required, but they were still paid, yeah. So,
We've done blanket statements, we've done individual conversations to this point, and we're gonna keep doing them, to improve people.
Well, I think it's important for people to know too, that if we don't have the bus drivers, you know, number one, first and foremost, there's a possibility that we're not gonna have people get their kids to school. Number two, we may not get our athletics and activities where they need to be. And that's just the fact, and we need people to sign up.
That's exactly, you just said, everything that I worry about every day is that, I mean,
But we're required from whatever the certain mileage is to get kids to school and from school back
We
home.
do slightly we do better than that right now.
Yeah, we actually, our board policy, I think, is it 2 miles?
Yeah, we're more generous by a mile than state law,
Yeah.
I know, so.
But what if we say, hey, we can't do this route today, what's our obligation there?
I think the bigger trick is if it would continue long-term, we need to look at maybe taking our board policy to the state law and only transporting those the state law requires in order to cut a route.
I mean, I have one route that's strictly in town in Centerville, which, you know, per board policy, we could just not transport those kids anymore, which I don't wanna do, because,
I think that'll hurt our absenteeism rate.
well, and not only that, is a lot of them live on the east side of Centerville, where they have to cross a major highway with no crosswalk to get to school, it's not safe. But, you know, per our policy, we transport them.
I
Mike,
think it's
the
good.
people that are interested in bus driving and then they lose interest or don't wanna do it, what is their main reason?
Can't say that
Are they afraid of the kids being bad and stuff like that?
I can't say that I've had anybody come in and that was interested and then just not
Not doing
Not
it.
doing
You
it.
get somebody there,
It's
they
just-
usually pull through.
Usually if you are lucky enough to get somebody, they do go through and do it.
Can teachers drive a school bus
I mean, once they're licensed, yeah.
once they're licensed? So they can pick up the kids, drop the bus off at school, and walk in with them.
Let them do that.
Like I have a friend who lives in a neighboring district, his wife is a teacher, she drives a bus every morning and every night. They built a brand new house, that's how they pay for it.
I mean, I think we need to pull out all the stops here. I mean, whatever idea you come up with, let's try.
Yeah, no, candidate right, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't coming here, I just want you guys to be aware of the severity. I'm not,
No, I think you're right, and that's my reason for asking questions, what can we, how can we better understand as a board, and what can we do to come up with solutions? Like, I didn't realize that you could use just some afternoon route roamers. I didn't know that.
yeah.
So I think, you know, if that's part of the marketing,
You know what the advertising is?
that actually will change my mind a little bit, yeah.
What's been done tonight, and maybe we could get an article in the pitch, to have them come in, since they're listening too. And have you talk to them and superintendent, yeah.
Let's get a recruiting, set a bus up in the parking lot and have drivers on
I'm
site.
up for anything,
Yeah.
His idea.
he's a driver.
Yeah, seriously, I think it would have made me feel more comfortable going into the process if I could have gone down and said, hey, I'm interested, and we have you there, people that can talk about the process. You can actually see the bus, you can get on the bus, you know what's going on with it, and like, well, that's not that scary.
To drive around the
I mean, I
parking
used
lot.
to drive dump trucks and stuff, but the school bus, when I was thinking about it, I was like,
A lot easier to drive than you thought it would be.
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So even like driving around the parking lot.
Yeah.
But you know, the dump truck was easy to unload.
Oh, yeah. So, I think something like that, you know, at Lakeview parking lot or whatever would be.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could also reach out to the parent teacher organization. I mean, they've got a lot of contacts, they got a lot of people there. We need to get the word out to anybody and everybody, absolutely. Let's get a plan here.
That's good.
Okay.
Let me know what you're gonna do and we'll work on it.
Okay.
Let's get it
And,
done.
you know, and I'll say myself, I probably need to be proactive, but not making excuses, but when you're driving a bus every day and trying to do this and that and the other thing, you just focus on getting through the day and getting your job done, and that's really what it's been lately.
Well, that's not where we need you. We need you at the top, not down in the bus.
No. And like I said, I didn't come to complain, I just want everybody to be aware of,
No,
we're
I think
in desperate,
you need to
we're
bring
in
us-
desperation.
You need to bring us the message, so don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks.
Will you follow up with us in a month?
Yep, sure will.
Okay.
What date is that? Is that the
Second meeting next month.
24th?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're not driving.
I hope I'm not this time
You
of
can zoom
day.
in. All right, who's next?
Let's have Kate go.
Let's see, it's in the report, I've got the balance. We're still negative in that 40,800, working with families to, set up payments, work with them somehow to get those paid. We have received some donations, that we're very grateful. I got a call last week that we may receive another one come the end of February. The email system seems to be working, people seem to be more regular with staying on top of that. I've come across a couple options that may be something we can use through the state to offer to our families to help reduce some of the costs of the food service. So I'm working with our state contact to see if those are feasible for us. As soon as I know for sure if they will, I'll let you know.
So how far back does some of this debt go?
What I'm seeing is that a lot of it goes back probably a good 3 years. There's and I don't know the reason, but there's the accounts that are the most in debt tend to go back 2 to 3 years, where either they fell off or free and reduced status. You know, we had the year that everybody received free meals regardless over COVID. So it's just been hard to get them back on. And when, you know, when you get that far behind on stuff, it's hard to make it up.
Have you talked to the legislature, see if they have any proposals that they could help us? That's what our legislatures are for.
I have not, but I can do that.
I would do that.
There hasn't been anything substantial on that issue that's come out yet this session.
Probably not.
But what kind of legislative solution are you looking for?
Well, some states give more free lunches. Some states, everybody has a free lunch. We're not gonna do that in Iowa, I'm sure of that. But I'm sure there could be some kind of help for people. You know, you have your status where they get their free lunch. They could raise that limit up a bit.
Well, I'm just thinking what Mr. Taylor said about, they get all the wacky bills in at this time of the year, and if that one's not in there, it's probably not gonna happen this year.
Those are
Well, they
federal-
still have time to get a wacky bill.
Federal
in there.
guidelines on the amount of money. So it's not just it's not Iowa's guidelines for if you qualify, it's federal.
So the states that do, because there are a few states that do free lunch for all students,
Yeah.
and they chip in state money from the
State
state
money,
coffers.
right.
What did Larry tell us today? We're gonna spend anywhere from 400,000 to 1.6, or 400,000 to 1.6 million of the state. No, that, we were in millions and billions, weren't we? Deficit spending this year as a
Right.
state.
I can't remember.
So, no, I think it was millions and billions at that point. The column moves over a few when it's the state versus our local. So we're already kind of deficit spending this year.
Their deficit spending this year, they have a tremendous amount of
Yeah,
Is there any?
yeah, reserves.
reserves, tremendous.
Do you see any of those accounts for kids that are no longer with our district?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any recourse as far as third party to recoup that money?
We, like I've been doing so far, contacting them to collect on it. If we try that without any success, then we can go to something, small claims court, collections. The districts I've talked with, balances that are negative less than $1,000, it's not usually financially worth going after those.
I guess,
But we can.
I guess I didn't know if there was a, you know, how we use the third party for the Medicare, Medicaid,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I didn't know if there was any third party for
For
the,
covering that.
you know.
Not that I'm aware
Not that are super popular at least, that, you know, we've
I
heard.
didn't know if there was
grapevine.
a secret.
But a lot of people are dealing with what Kate's talking about. This is a pretty big topic among superintendents right now too. I think the COVID-free meals really did that, because Kate's right, in a lot of districts, people didn't remember to fill out, you know, if they weren't a person who's direct cert, they weren't remembering to fill out after the free meals were up, and they were still just racking up debt.
So I guess, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but like for kids that graduated, right? Okay, and I thought we had it to where all fees had to be paid in order to graduate.
We can't do that.
You can't do that, I thought that was,
That,
that was
I
the
kinda
thing
remember
that,
that when my kids were
Yeah.
graduating.
Yep, you're told
Yeah.
that.
You told me that. That's a good
You were
bluff.
told that, but we can't.
okay.
you know,
You can't with
for us that have been in
diploma, you
business,
can't
we
with
know that collecting
graduation.
can be really difficult. A lot of times, people do not pay until they need credit. And then they decide to pay. And so there's some that you'll get that way and some you'll.
And that only is effective if you are a company that's gonna go after them for that debt. Because
Right.
right now, the debt that's on their accounts now is not being reported to.
Yeah, it has to, you have to have some company do
Yeah,
it for you, and that's not pleasant for a kid, I don't think, I don't know.
Well, I don't think we wanna report people at credit bureaus, so.
Unfortunately, we do have a few people who Kate, I think I might nominate for sainthood, I don't know. if I can do that. She's had some conversations with some people with some pretty high numbers who, when she calls and says, you know, we can work out a payment plan, she's like the nicest person dealing with people, helping them out with it. And a lot of times they'll throw back, well, too bad, I'm still gonna keep racking up the debt, and there's nothing you can do about it.
and we don't wanna cut kids off, you know, we
No.
don't do that, we don't tell them they can't eat, we don't offer alternatives, which is the right thing to do. One of the things I'm looking into is, and I haven't even had a chance to talk to Mark and Lisa about it, there's this very slight possibility that we could, offer reduced price qualification, a better benefit. I'm still waiting to hear back from the state.
She's dug into the deep dive on what we can do.
The state, if you've heard of CEP, both Mark and I have looked into that, that's where everybody can receive free meals. The problem with CEP is that it is based on direct certification. It is not based on the amount of people who apply for free and reduced. If they apply for it and are granted free or reduced meals because of their income level, that doesn't count for CEP. So it's only those who are direct certified from the state. And right now, our numbers on direct certification don't put us in a good spot to be able to offer that at this point.
So that's how, I think it was a ton of last
Yeah.
2 years has been able to operate.
Yeah, if your direct cert is high enough, they actually have a calculator on their website that we kind of played with a little bit to figure out where our direct cert would need to be, and we're still just a ways off.
So, from a financial standpoint, how long can we continue? I mean, what do we do?
I mean,
Our fund actually still is a positive fund, so our fund is in really good shape still, and continues to be in the black each year for food service. Just our paid number, so I guess as soon as that paid number would eat up our fund, which I think is a pretty darn large balance.
raise prices
Yeah.
for the students that do pay.
So that was just a math statement, not a planning statement, a math statement.
Feel the eyes glare there.
Yeah, sorry.
And
I had to
also
clean
hope
that
that the reimbursement for rate gets increases as
Yeah,
well.
that would help, that would help a lot, yeah.
Well, folks, it's kind of comes down to a real business decision here. If you're not willing to have some sort of penalty for not paying your bill, then you're gonna eat it.
I mean,
Okay? It's just that simple.
I could call them every week and tell them that they're negative, but if
If there's no,
nothing, if there's no repercussions for them not paying, and nobody wants to make it hard on the family, you know,
no,
but
it reaches a point where are we responsible to them or to the rest of the world? Is what it comes down to, doesn't it?
And that threshold for a lot of districts, as we've been told, is about $1,000. That's where it becomes not nonsensical to go after it the only way you're really allowed to go after it.
Yeah. And but I'll be honest with you, my experience in small claims courts is small results. Okay?
That's not
Just
good.
because you get a judgment doesn't mean you're gonna get money. Does not guarantee that at all,
That's fair.
okay? So you can jump through all those hoops you want. Still doesn't mean you're gonna get any money. You either, like I said, you're either gonna eat this, or you're gonna figure out some consequence for not paying your bill. So, if you're not willing to explore consequence, you're just gonna eat it.
I think we'd have to think about consequences we could feel comfortable with. You know, the alternative deals isn't something you're really supposed to do anymore from the state standpoint.
What?
I don't know if you're not allowed to, it's certainly discouraged. I
it
don't-
is very discouraged.
And I guess, you apprenticeship a child for something that they have no control over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That, you know, that, and no one wants to put that kid in that situation.
I was that kid once.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Sure.
the
No,
kid's not
yeah.
the situation, it's the parent that's in the situation.
Right, but by offering an alternative, you know, that's,
But it says if you get
I'm really glad
peanut butter
you guys
down
said
with
that.
or a hot meal,
I
or
mean, I don't
don't
wanna
feed
do
the kid,
that.
the kid's being penalized for the parent not paying.
yeah.
Right.
We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna do that, so how do you penalize the parent? That seems to be a limited option too.
Yeah.
I would say, keep digging.
Then again, it's the cost of doing business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not the only district out there,
Right.
I think. So, yeah, so I mean,
Katie's
what we
done
need
an
is,
awesome job.
we need the state feds to step in, recognize how big of an issue this is nationwide,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and actually do their job.
So then the option is, do you raise the price of lunch?
Then you're penalizing the people who pay.
It is, but that's the way it is in business.
The
That's the
good
way
news
it
is
is
that
in
our
business.
fund continues to raise though, so we continue to be in the black each year individually, and we already have a fund balance. So right now, we're not actually losing money, it's just that we have on our books negative accounts that we hear about every audit.
So I think this needs to be something that we need to try to get with our contacts at IASB as well as COSPA and try to get that on a stage that's actually gonna have a little bit of influence.
Yeah.
I mean, we can sit here and talk about it all night long, just like I can walk in the chair, but it's not gonna get us anywhere. It's fun to do, but.
Well said.
I agree.
Who's the next director?
Let's see, it would be Cameron?
I've got not much for you. Over Christmas break, I replaced our network stack, so our core switch, basically where our internet comes in and shoots out to all the other schools, we're brand new on that, so that's really exciting to my world. And just fix everything that breaks when it comes to me and keep it up on all that.
Just make sure they submit a ticket, right?
So send me an email.
Tell me about esports.
We're 2-2 right now for the season,
Break it there.
so we still have a shot at state for Overwatch 2, and numbers a little smaller than last season, but that fluctuates all throughout the year, so kids just do different sports and kind of get what they're not doing, so hopefully next season, which will start in about a month and a half. I don't know if we're playing Mario Kart or Valorant, but we'll ideally see a few more kids. I've got like 8 right now, I'd like to see about 12. It's nice to have, double digits in there.
And we just received an open enrollment in request for next year where esports was one of the interesting areas for this child.
Wow.
So,
I get all walks of life for there.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Recruiting.
Yeah.
Very good. Who's next?
I don't have a whole lot for you today. Just like Cameron, stuff breaks, I fix it. But on top of that, a little bit of a construction. I mean, we're about 99.567% there. It's never going to get to 100, but we'll get there eventually. Recently, I created a Google Sheets document and sent this out to every subcontractor. That way, everyone can stay on top of the issues that we still have. Over the last several weeks, I've walked around with Bi-State several times, just getting updates on the remaining punch list items and just making sure that they are resolved. Construction that's kind of where we're at right now with that. They're just a bunch of punch list items. A few things on that north door still need to be resolved, but we're getting there. Buildings and grounds. Over winter break at the preschool, we started changing outlets to tamper resistant, and we'll continue this as time allows. Today, we actually installed radon test kits at Lakeview Preschool and Admin. The new state law requires all educational facilities be tested for radon every 5 years. The high school and middle school will be tested next winter. And something new I came up with in the last couple weeks. I'm in the early planning stages. I'm going to do a few small renovation additions to the preschool kitchen. Just something I came up with that I saw that needs to be updated a little bit more. Nothing too big, nothing extravagant that actually needs to come to the board or anything. Just changing a few things out here and there just to make it better for that group. Preschool kind of gets forgotten about sometimes. It does.
Except for today.
So we're working on it.
We got new
I'm also working with the PTO. They asked me to, they're going to continue doing grants every year, kind of like they did for this fence out here. There's a couple of things that they sent to me, a couple of things I took off their list. I'm like, oh, we can do that for you or this or that. And the one thing they want to raise funds for is a shade structure out in the playground. So I'm working on getting estimates for that for them. Because usually a school district that contacts those people gets a better deal than just a normal person does. The new playground, I don't know if you noticed, the new playground structures were just installed over the weekend out there. This late spring, early summer, we will reconstruct the wood chips out there and make it a little bit better. With adding in and tearing out old, it kind of disturbs the wood chips a little bit better, so we'll pretty it up and make it look nice for next year. That's about all I have.
Brad?
Unless anyone has any.
Yeah, most of my stuff was in the report. We just changed semesters and our attendance kind of resets. I clarified with the county attorney, families that we had referred at the 10% threshold. If they did not reach 15%, they reset also. If they've reached 15%, we have to have a family engagement meeting, and those will continue for the rest of the year. So, luckily we didn't have a lot of those. Probably 6, 8 in the district that reached 15% on the referral number. We did get. Thanks to Emily Coe's actually worked hard with Power School and people at the state. We got Panorama, our data's right. It's accurate now, so we can kind of look at it. I know Mr. Taylor, we had some questions, we were talking a little bit. It's really not an apples to apples kind of comparison on numbers we have to report to the state. what they're looking at and then what we're looking at according to the new law, because like the state doesn't see anything as exempt. If you're gone, you're just gone. And so that's the number we gotta report, where we're really focused on kids that are gone without a good reason. Like your medical excuses and your being an activity, things like that. So we'll still look to continue, clear that up a little bit. That little thing, if you see any legislatures, I know they're gonna work on this law. The certified mail piece, like when a family reaches 10%, or student reaches 10%, we have to send a certified letter to them, which is some expense. And I've heard horror stories about what some districts have paid first semester in mail bills. And the number of them that get returned, unclaimed, I heard several different times that they're gonna clean that up. So if you know anybody, you might wanna mention that is that's a kind of a burden on the school that probably shouldn't be there. I think just a regular letter, phone call probably would work just as well as a certified letter. One of the things, my other job, I do spend a lot of Saturdays or Thursday nights in other schools now. But one thing I always look at is when they have their attendance data posted. And I will tell you, we're pretty typical with about everybody, of what our daily attendance on that chart that I showed you. So I think everybody's kind of balanced the same, and everybody seems to be doing the same kind of stuff for it. And then the last thing I have, and I know Jared's not here, but I would like to really give him a shout out, that girls wrestling meet that we had Thursday night. I've been to a lot of wrestling meets, and he did some stuff that I'd never seen before that was really neat, and I thought it was good for all the girls. That really started out small. Had a couple teams say, hey, we want to get some matches, and then more teams kept coming, and we told them yes, so we ended up having a full-on tournament. We were really expecting, and it ran well, and he got all the girls to take a picture before. If you've ever been to a dual meet, they announced the wrestlers head-to-head. I've never seen anybody do it in a tournament, and after I saw it, I thought, why don't we do this everywhere? That was one of the neatest things I've ever seen in a tournament, so that was really good on Jerry to do that. So. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Before we go to Julie, who's kind of the transition from director to principal, since she has a little bit of both, Jared's report is in the board packet. He talked about a record in steals for Malachi Rice set in a game versus Davis County. Adrienne Howard scoring her 1,000th career point, which is an amazing accomplishment. Addison Tuttle set a girls single game record for steals in a game versus Knoxville. And we've had two wrestlers who have reached their 100th career wins, Matt Ginabana and Brian Snyder. So a lot of athletic success that he had to share with us in his report this time around.
Yeah, I do have a question in his report. On the swimming, it says the boys swimming wrapped up the regular season, they'll compete in the districts. Then it goes on to say that we have a junior who's the sole representative from CHS on the team.
Yeah, that's right.
So does that mean that our swimming team that we're paying to coach for has one of our students and then the rest of the team is from other districts?
Yep, so we've talked a little bit. Actually, Jared has done a lot of really good work, and I feel like it's good he's not here because I had something in my report to give him kudos for, so with Brad and I both saying good things about him, I don't want to make his head get too big or anything. So he did a lot of really good work to dig in with schools in the state who have sharing agreements for swimming, because there are not a lot of swim teams in the state, school swim teams, and found a model that's used. Actually, Atumwa is one that's close that uses a model where schools pay in based on the percentage of the team that they have on the team. So he's had some talks with some ADs about that, trying to make it where it's an equitable cost. We would probably still need to pay for the transportation, but I guess that's what you get for getting to have the jersey say Centerville on it. Just a little bit tilted that direction, but also we've talked about trying to recruit additional Centerville students for future years, how that'd be important. When you think about our budget crunches that we've got, you know, we wanna keep programs, but we definitely wanna keep programs that our kids are interested in,
Well,
so
that's
we're
what we're
working
going
to try to boost
Because we're
that.
paying a head coach salary schedule for one student, and other districts are over here
Mhm.
and not financially contributing. I'm not sure that's the smartest way to spend their money.
That's fair. That's a good one, yeah. And so we will continue to push on that if the board feels like that would be a good thing to get out there and recruit with. And I think to speak to that, talking about the idea of, I'm gonna steal something from my report, but it's okay. I intend to work with the Tomo radio crew and go pitch on some advertising for the school, highlighting the activities that we have that you don't necessarily get everywhere. Toot our own horn a little bit. I've kind of always viewed the school district's advertising thing a little bit like I do politicians that like to mudsling, and I just felt dirty about it. But unfortunately, everybody around us is advertising and doing like sponsored ads on Facebook and things like that. So probably time that we get in the game and do our thing and toot our horn on our awesome activities that we got for kids. So.
We have had many more athletes out for the swim team in the past. I mean, we had a well-represented at one point, but is that, would you say that, Brad?
Yeah, I think we just lost under graduation, I think, and just haven't had anybody fill in.
Yeah.
Well, I think Jared's got he's had some great conversations with some coaches about how they can recruit kids into their program, how we're gonna be real proactive in trying to pull people in. Because when we talk about what we've decided as a board, what's important in having kids in activities is it gives them a connection to school, right? And sometimes your hesitant kids are kids that need you to say, I need you in this program. I need you to be involved in this. And so he's really talking about those opportunities with teams, and we've had some people do a great job of really making that happen. We had some boys come out for basketball that maybe had some challenges in the past, that were happy and doing a good job in school because they wanted to play and they wanted to impress their coach. So he's really pushing that approach, and I think swimming is one we definitely want to see that happen for. We have a senior next year, so we'll get to have a senior night for our wonderful young man, really great boy, right?
It's pretty amazing.
It's Kate's boy. So nice kid, and hopefully we can get him some Centerville teammates to be on that team with them. Because you're right, I mean, at some point, if we can't have a number of kids in it, it's hard to justify the money.
Yeah, the other districts
Yeah,
need to
chip in.
It would, I don't even know, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It would be really disappointing to learn that somebody open enrolled out to another district and then they came back here for swimming and they're not financially contributing to that.
Mm-hmm. And we've
And
had
I don't know if that's the case.
we've had some requests this spring for other programs like that, where somebody open enrolled out for specifically a 4-day week, and wanted to come back and do activities with our school. The last request we've gotten, it wouldn't have even worked to bring it to the board for the timelines for that sport. But there is currently a request for another sport, and I'm not so sure, just in some conversations, that it's wise for us to.
We're sending money out of the district for them to go to another district, and I don't think we should be supplementing their activities without that district paying us something to provide that activity for them.
That would help to know if that's kind of the general board consensus on that, because then I would know what to do on that step.
I mean, that's fair and equitable, if they're gonna accept our students out the money that flows with them, then they should pay us for the activities if they're not gonna provide them.
Does that feel pretty good to I can work under that.
Yep,
That
well
works.
said. Well said.
I mean, the whole open enrollment out and then coming back for activities, that's topic for another conversation, because I think there's two different conversations there. I mean, you have one, just a program that they don't offer, absolutely, there needs to be some buy-in, but then that open enrollment out and then wanting to come back, and
And swimming's kind of unique. I mean, I will say for swimming that if we can, again, you have to have a little skin in the game for your school, and if we can't get the numbers to have skin in the game for our school, I couldn't even recommend it. But typically, most of those programs that are out there have some sharing with some schools to make that happen, but they usually will charge either a per student number, so it's always gonna be $150 a kid, or they'll charge like that model that I was talking about that Jared looked at, that's kinda cool. If we have 12 kids on the team, well, I'll say 10 to make it easy. If we have 10 kids on the team, and you have one kid on, you're gonna pay 10% of the cost. So it's a fluctuating cost based on the size of the team and the number of students involved. Either model's good, cause you can recoup some of that money back to make it viable. But definitely something to keep on our eye on as we go. And not saying that I think there's any reason not to have a team next year by any means. Like, I think we have to go into it with the idea of there's a team, and we're gonna try to recruit and really push to do that. Cause we have a senior and we've got.
And as a board, we've always supported the athletics who are changing districts and not penalizing the kid. And I don't wanna penalize the kid who wants to do an activity.
Right.
But I think there's a cost sharing from a district
Yeah.
that needs to come back to us. So my comments are about cost sharing, not about the kids themselves. It's
Right.
about cost.
Kind of a unique new situation with open enrollment. The state has, what did I hear from the governor's condition of the state? I think it was 9% of students in the state, public school students in the state, are open enrolled to a district other than the one that they would attend due to boundaries. If it's 8 and I'm wrong, and somebody's playing along at home and has that up, I apologize. Might be 10 too, I don't know. Something in that range, so.
Amber White just reached out, she subs for us at Howard
Yeah.
and has a student there, and you probably know that we've worked closely together over the years through PTO and that, and she just said, she said she's not, she's listening online, whatever, but she said, I had a state qualifier for the last 2 years. We graduated 3 seniors last year. Next year, she has 3 middle school kids coming up that will be on that high school team.
Yeah, pretty dedicated high school kids.
She said, I think a piece that would be beneficial is if people knew that the Albia School provided the transportation last season for the girls, and the Albia Booster Club gave $1,000 to the program, and the Moravia Booster Club gave $1,000 for it.
Thank
So-
Amber for that information.
Yeah.
That's something we didn't know. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
that's what she just said, she's like, hey, I could share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Amber. Yeah.
No, that money went probably to an A club account, I'm gonna guess. So again, that still doesn't recoup the costs that we're talking about. So we still need to look at being fiscally responsible. When we're talking about $400,000 in staff cuts, I think we have to acknowledge that our general fund is different than the boosters activity club accounts.
I appreciate her sending that information, so.
Who's next, Mr. Taylor?
That would be Julie.
So I have the information there in my report. It's been a really awesome experience this last few weeks being part of the SAMI work at both Howard Middle School and at the high school. And just seeing the steps that have been taken this year already to create a better MTSS environment for our kids at those levels. It's something that is hard work and difficult and has been in the works, but just the progress that we've seen and just the time that we've taken from the last time we did the SAMI at those buildings to now, and just the staff conversations that were had and some things that we're ready to move on for is really exciting from a district perspective, because we're all moving in the same direction and really working towards making things better for kids, and that's our ultimate goal. So the other thing is the picture there of Ryan Wagner. He's a first-year teacher for us this year. Really buys into the TWR, the Writing Revolution that I talked about, and presented in front of his colleagues the other day. So we used his information at Howard as well. So that's a really cool thing that a first-year teacher wanted to do that, was willing to put himself out there and was using the stuff that we had presented. So the Writing Revolution is going well, continuing to implement that in classrooms. People that have done that across the state and nation have seen a really impactful writing scores increase and things like that. So we're excited to continue to see how that goes. Lots of things happening, and PD continuing to be planned, and getting each building what they need is always a challenge, but it's really cool to see the progress that is being made. Preschool is going well, thanks to Aaron for the new playground. The kids will be excited to be able to use it here soon. Just working away. It's that time of year where you seem to have a lull, but really not. So it's just really awesome to see the progress that's being made in the district this year already.
Brian?
Alrighty, so I'll just hit a couple highlights from my report, but my report's attached as well. Just want to highlight reading core numbers there. Got those from Susan Cole, who does our reading core group. Just because of the way reading core works, they can only do the job for so long. So we actually brought in 2 additional people to the one we still had, and they had shared these numbers. So I wanted to share that 97.8% of the kids that they work with, mind you, one of them had exceeded their target. So the person that works with us and through Susan was just super excited. I saw the emails, was like, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I did not have reading core in my previous district, so this was new to me. And Terry knows that they do wonderful work, but just seeing the amount of great work that they do, just want to make sure that was shared. Another one, just student achievement. Obviously, our ultimate goal of special education being that there is some gaps in student learning. It could be math, could be behavior, it could be reading. We've had a lot of kids this year, and I'm sure in the past as well, but a lot of kids this year that they've met and exceeded and met those gaps and have graduated, so to speak, or have been able to get out of special education in a certain area. So just a lot of celebrations for that. That they use numeracy project or they've met their reading goals, and so we've had a lot of those meetings, really good meetings. So hey, let's have a celebration. It's a scary process too. Scary process for the parents, scary process for the gen ed teacher, the kid, special ed teacher. That, hey, what are we going to do? So we're always cognizant of, hey, do we want to do a 45-day out? We don't want to ever leave the kid with nothing. So we're always making sure we think about that, but it is a celebration to say that it doesn't matter if it takes 2 weeks or 12 years, that our ultimate goal is to build them up with the knowledge they need and then graduate them out if we can. And then looking at the programs and culture, just wanted to update, we do our LEAD Awards, you guys probably see those on Facebook, the kids take home their certificates. They also get posted on the wall. If you ever go to my building, it's kind of a cool thing to see, I think. You will often see kids looking for their names or looking for kids that have names. It's a pretty daily occurrence. Counted the other day, we have over 240 certificates on that wall. So at the end of the year, we're going to get through everybody that they're all going to be there. So that'll be an exciting thing, and we see that a lot of times that kids are looking at that. Had some good concerts if you got to see those or got to see them virtually. So we've had some good concerts with our wonderful staff. Susan Cole and Natalie Brown always do a great job, but I got to see it firsthand this year, and they do a phenomenal job. My kids got to be in that as well. And then we had a fun time around Christmas. So I was sick of hot chocolate by the end of that day, but we served 500 cups of hot chocolate. So I think we were very tired of hot chocolate by the end, but it was fun to do. So got to steal the kids and deliver that to them. I will, because Julie didn't mention, so Julie, I mentioned it for you. We got to do some PD, and my staff was part of it, capturing kids' hearts. So Julie actually led us, and we had staff from all different buildings, but I got to go as one of the administrators, and I had 2 staff that went with me to Des Moines to a 2-day training on capturing kids' hearts, just to check out to see if there's something we would possibly be interested in the future. It's really an approach, I would call it an approach, less of a curriculum and more of a, I heard one district that uses it as like, this is who we are, this is how we hire people, this is how we tell parents that we interact with people, this is how we interact with kids. And it was just a really good, I got great feedback from my staff. I think we all did, that this is something we could potentially look into in the future. So that was a great experience. We just met last Friday with Amanda Evans about letters, and we're starting to, because it's quite a process, 2-year process, but we're starting to just, hey, let's get together, and even if you haven't had a chance to really implement anything yet, let's just talk about how we implement it. And it was a full day meeting with all the staff from different grades, and I thought it was a pretty good day. We had great feedback, so that was really good. Ethan Graham, so one of Jenny's kiddos at the high school. Yeah. Okay, Ethan Graham, one of Jenny kids at the high school. He's a high school senior. He did our Gaga Ball pit, which is in the back of Lakeview, and he did that through an Eagle Scout, his Eagle Scout project. He actually invited me to his Eagle Scout, and I'm not a scout, but board with you. Ceremony, yeah. It was great to hear. You know, I've seen him out. He always shakes my hand if I see him at Hy-Vee, or if I see him out playing in a band, or just a great kid. But it was an awesome thing for him to do. And then with some of the money that he gained, he actually gave us a plaque that's hanging in Lakeview now too.
What is a Gaga ball?
Oh, yeah. So I'm not a Gaga ball pit. That's for like my son would be, but it is a game. It's similar in some ways, I guess you would say, between kickball and dodgeball. Like that would be like my explanation. It's not very good.
So is it something inside
It's
or outside?
it could be inside, but a lot of times it's outside in a pit, and that's where they play it.
Kelly.
But if you watch a video, it is quite interesting to watch.
Cage match kickball.
Yeah. So, and our PE teachers have a lesson plan for the kids and stuff to kind of go over with them, but it is just supposed to be out there that they can play it.
So is this the new pickleball?
Oh, like in its popularity?
Yeah.
Yes, it is becoming quite popular.
I've never heard of it. So.
Yeah, it's becoming quite popular. And then the last couple of things, just highlighting some of our PTO things. They took on Festival of Lights and got some great donations that will go to our staff and our kids. It was also incredible to see they do a giving tree. I think they've done this in the past. A new experience for me, and that was something that was just, I believe everything was taken, and just a way for teachers to get things for their classroom. And then I also posted this on Facebook, but this is a state of Iowa thing. The state of Iowa decided to give these Just Right readers. It's a set of 2 different sets of books, 3 different levels, so like a high, medium, low, to every first grader. So we sent those all out to parents, and just a great resource for parents to have at home. So that did come from the state, so I will highlight something great that they've done, and just giving them some reading that they can do at home. So that was a good thing.
I'm gonna taper off from Brian for just a minute. I shared with our Lakeview staff, I'll tell you what, the work that is being done below us is only making our students stronger coming to us. We did the screener for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade kids in Bassbridge. And I remember years back when Mary Dudley had left Lakeview and went to Howard, and she would say to our teachers, our title teachers, like, you guys, I wish you could screen the middle school kids, because you're gonna see it all coming together. And, you know, I'll tell you what, in the fall, our 7th and 8th grade kids, both classes, we have 41 kids that were not where they needed to be, and it was phonics and fluency. So in winter, you know, we're like, oh, we've been teaching now for 18 weeks. In winter, we have 41 kids. And so in the old days, we would be like, well, we'll just read more. But that's not the way we do business in our district. So now we screen down deeper. I ran down today and bugged a couple of the title teachers. And, you know, we have kids who are learning 7th and 8th grade core content material that are testing at a 1st and 2nd grade phonics level. So it's not that they don't know how to read, it's just that it's so much harder for them because they're still identifying letter sounds and that. So, but you know, the good news is it's only in our 7th and 8th grade because of all the things we've done in the past. Our 6th graders have had those. They've had the full-time interventions, they've had the foundations in the class, they've had all that. So just really excited about that I feel like kind of down the road now we can see the impact that the work those guys are doing at Lakeview and how impacting it is. So we're gonna do one more screen again tomorrow. Paige and I and Jen Benz have been working on that today. And we feel like we'll have those kids identified now. And during that intervention time, we're gonna break them into groups and they are gonna get a pretty intense phonics instruction for the next 18 weeks to see if we can't truly pack their bags better so that when they leave Howard, they're better equipped there above us. But I need to get an email to the Lakeview staff because I sent it to our staff. I'm like, guys, if you can't look at this and see, here's who didn't have it, here's who didn't have it, here's who did. Like the data just outshine. Our 6th grade kids, they were spot on because they've had 3 years of that process. And, you know, it's just the age of where our kids were, it's the COVID gap, it's some of that. So kudos to what the staff is doing there at Lakeview. And you probably saw my report, all I could say is great things about the middle school staff because, you know, Mark filled in for me last week when I was out, and I have a note on my desk that says, you know, build consensus, and then there's a Bible verse about going the pace you should go which. I tend to be somebody who goes too fast. If somebody said we were going to address the grading practices at Howard this year and rebuild an intervention program, I think Mark would have been like, Terry, that's too much in the first year. But you knew who brought it to me was the teachers. When we were talking after the first quarter about the number of failing students, the number of students not doing homework, the number of students not retaking tests, it just came out of a conversation, and many of them were like, we don't really believe in this, it's just something we've been doing for, you know, 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, well, then why are we doing it? And they're like, we thought you were like, I'm like, I don't even know what we're doing, honestly, because I haven't even had the training you've all had on standard-based. So we, you know, I shared that with you. We really reviewed that and revitalized that. Our kids are on board, our staff is on board. I feel like our families are on board because they know that it's just in these 5 days. I don't have to look back and remember for 2 units or 2 months or 3 9-week periods here. So I just couldn't say enough good things about the staff because honest to God, that's where the power is coming. If they weren't willing to do all that, there's no way we would be doing what we're doing. And I shared in there with you my guy Daniel Vanderlinden's giving up some different time, the way he's working things, our special ed teachers. I mean, a special ed teacher said in a meeting not very long ago, she's like, I feel bad for my kids that get specially designed instruction during this time because she said, who in this building do you think is going to teach them about slope and math as good as the math teacher? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. She said, that's why we got to make our schedules work so that my students with IEPs get intervention with the highest qualified math teacher in the building. So here's my 2 special ed teachers who totally flip-flopped their schedule this quarter so their kids can get specially designed instruction and intervention in the classroom from their math teachers. So it's just really, I know there's a lot of Pollyanna in there. The data, I'm not loving the data. We've got some attendance issues. We've got some students who are failing some grades, but we're also having conversations about, you're not leaving us till you get it figured out. But I just couldn't say enough good things about our staff and how hard they've worked to embrace the MTSS work we've been doing. Like Julie said, our data showed that we have made some growth. You know, we still have room to go, but we've made some growth. But the commitment and the mindset behind our staff is really coming to serve kids really well. And I think our kids are going to start to feel that soon as their skill sets improve and they feel the confidence they get from that work.
Okay, so first of all,
Wait, just a minute.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I had a question for Terry, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay, go ahead, yeah.
Terry, you made a comment, and I saw it in your report. You're not moving out of here till we get this figured out. What does that mean for you?
Well, I'll tell you, it's something that I didn't think I would ever say, and I told Julie, I wrote that in my report, and I said it probably makes you nervous. So what that means to me, I'm just gonna tell you. Mike Moore was there the day this happened in our building. You know how the police department comes through and does our walkthroughs? Mm-hmm. So we had a situation where an officer that I didn't know very well at all was in the building one day for a situation that was he observed was pretty difficult for a young person. And he explained to the young person the way that I personally was handling it, that was really positive. And then he shared that that student was emulating his life that this police officer had lived. And so after the situation kind of got calmed down, I just said to him, hey, do you mind sharing with the student and I and his parent, like, how did things turn around for you in your life? And he looked at us and he said, I'll tell you what, Bruce Carpin said, why would I send you to the high school when you haven't showed us that you are got what you need to be successful here as a middle school student? With the amount of supports that we have here, I can't keep doing this. The behavior referrals, the attendance referrals, the lack of ownership in your own ability. He's like, this has to stop here, and you need to show me that you can handle that before we say you're ready to go to the high school where there's less supports and more autonomy in seeking that. So that really struck me. Like I said it to Mike when he was there next time or whatever. I'm like, you're never gonna believe this, but there's so much to be said about that. And so I met with those kids that I'm concerned about and their parents, and we do a daily batter up sheet for many of our students. And the whole thing is, the number you put on there is the number you put into your day. So if I'm on track, I'm engaged in my learning, I'm doing my work, that I should be scoring myself at least a 2 or a 3. And if you're not, then we need to be talking about what is getting in the way of you doing that. Do you need more help? Do you need to connect more with the teacher or the curriculum you're in? Do your parents know that you're struggling this much? That's a huge piece of our story, you know, middle school kids. And I think parents start to think I'm giving you a little autonomy, and then you get the report card and you're like, whoa. So I really just met with those families. There's less than 5. And I just said, I don't have enough data right now to tell me that your student could go to the next grade and be a competent learner. And I don't have enough data to show that they've mastered enough school in the fact that you've missed 40-some days of school or 30-some days of school. And then we have batter up cards that are showing 0s and 1s, and we're not being successful in completing homework. So just trying to really build the multi-tiered system of support. I'm not the girl that believes in retention, but I do believe that if we say that this is important, then we better have some steps in the way that say, here's how we're gonna get it. I'll give you an example. We talked with a 6th grader about taking 6th grade social studies next year and 7th grade social studies. And that person said, well, I don't really have time, I'm in choir and band. Yep, you are this year, but this is what we are gonna have to talk about next year, because our expectation is that you meet the standards of every class. And if not, it's a little bit like your lunch program. Where does it stop? And I don't mean that mean, but it comes back to, I really think about our job is to make sure that all kids live the mission. I think that's a huge responsibility we have in the middle, is to help make sure that we are taking these young kids, packing their bags so that they have the skills they need to go to the high school and work towards living that mission. So
It's hard to instill accountability.
it is, but I will tell you, like what I wrote there, you know what? We have not had, I don't feel like I've had one family that has said, this is crazy, and shut the door on us this year. From behavior to discipline to drug use, everybody has been willing to work with us and sit down and talk with our teachers about bumps in the road and levels of support, so.
I did get to sit in on one meeting with Terry earlier in the year where I thought for sure maybe her and the parent had like pre-planned before they brought the kid in. Because like they both were on the same wavelength with that kid. It was obvious, I'm not gonna get to play my principal against my parent here. Like she really does a good job of getting parents on the conversation with the kid and helping build that accountability.
Well, like I said, I just really feel like, I feel like the teachers are behind it because they know they have that support. You know, when you call for things, we're getting it, we've got levels to put in now. You know, in the past, like, I mean, it's just like the one teacher who said, we really can't say that, Terry, because our band kids never have access. And then we talked to Daniel and he's like, well, I could let them go here as long as when it comes back to here, they're back here. And, you know, I just feel like we're really coming together as a team and talking about how to do it better, utilizing our resources. So that's all I meant, but I didn't mean it negative at all.
No,
I know
well,
it feels negative, but you know, kids know. They know if they're making it or not.
Yeah.
And we want them to leave knowing you can make it.
Yes, it was a little surprising
I
the
know,
way
I
you
felt like
turned
that. I
it,
might have read that.
but you know what? It brought it right to the forefront. Okay.
I was home last week all week. It was
you were
that
right on the
butter.
money. You were right on the money. I just wanted to know, and I knew that
Yeah,
you would,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
just wanted you to tell me how it
Yeah.
was gonna happen.
I feel like we're getting closer to building that support system in the middle school, so.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, so I just realized that my report still says December 2024, the one you probably have. I really did write it in January, so I just wanted to. Actually, I did it on the virtual day because we got a reminder from Sam, and I thought, I have all this time. And clearly, having more time does not help me write a better report. Because I left out a few things too. So, underneath student achievement, obviously we're well into semester 2 here. We've got students in classes, we've got teachers that are working hard with students in terms of moving things forward. We do have a couple of credit recovery type courses that we're offering this semester, something new, that we're trying to utilize people in a better way to help kids be more successful without getting near the end of the road and then having to try to departmentalize those things and try to help kids earn credits they need to be successful to graduate. So there are a lot of things actually in play at the high school in terms of things that we're trying to make adjustments to and tweak, even compared to what we had first semester. Teachers have been great, very flexible in their scheduling. Robbinsburg has been amazing in terms of putting that schedule together and really trying hard to work with kids. And as we all know, sometimes we get some kids that want to change often or think that they want to change for a reason that might not be a good enough reason, that we want to allow them to switch their schedule around. So being in the class with your buddy isn't nearly as important as being in the right class at the right time to get the right instruction that you need. So doing a really good job of really enforcing the importance of being in the right places with kids. And our guidance office has really been instrumental in that, so I really appreciate that. We do have some math coming up, some planning with Lynn Selking from the AEA, just to take a look at our math department. Believe it or not, this is kind of spearheaded by Sharon Bryce, who's retiring. She really wants to ensure that we have things in place in the right way when she leaves for the program to continue to head down the right path, if not even develop and grow more in order to send kids out of our high school building with the right kind of math that they need no matter what they're going into, whether that be post-secondary education or the workforce or whatever that is. So going to work this week actually with Lynn to get that done. The SAMI planning that Julie mentioned, our BLT team is fantastic. At the high school, I really feel like we've got great people as a part of that team. And our conversation was really rich in that meeting that Julie was talking about. I was really impressed with the effort that our teachers are giving and the direction that they really do want to see the building go. So just in general, if you asked me in August where I thought we would be at this point in the year, I can really proudly say in terms of what our staff has given forth and the efforts that we've given and our students really falling into where we need them to fall into, I am really proud of where we are in terms of culture and making adjustments to get into that new building and help things flow that it needed to flow. So I do feel like we're ready to push forward, and the building leadership team is on board for us to continue to move forward and really take a look at some other pieces for our building as a whole. So I'm excited about our professional development coming up here this next semester. Programs and culture, just a couple things to highlight there. Our VU scholarship program, that's being supported by Gear Up. It's unique in the terms that it's going to give students an opportunity to see what an academic award letter might look like from multiple schools, multiple post-secondary options. So it's sort of like applying for a applying to a college in reverse order. So you might choose a college and then apply to that college to see what kind of money you might be rewarded. This does that in reverse, where every student will get an opportunity to see what multiple schools would offer them in regards to their academics as a high school student. So I'm excited about that. We're going to actually unveil that right before our career fair, which is scheduled for March 19th. If you don't have that on your schedule, I highly encourage you to do so. March 19th in our high school gymnasium. I can tell you right now, without even have been here last year, just in the talk that has gone around about planning this and about the excitement that has gone into this career fair, it's an awesome event. So we've got the right people planning and really pushing that forward. Over 70 local businesses and community members are taking in, providing the services for our kids that day in terms of the fair for things that they can indulge in and see, and really some good alignment with expectations for students in terms of socializing appropriately with those businesses and community members, and then really being purposeful about what they're looking into and how they're navigating that day. So I'm excited for that career fair on the 19th. Something I left out, and I should have even put a picture in here because I had one. We have some new graphics at the high school, so pop in. Huge header along the big wall that when you walk through the front door that is to the west, really brightens it up. We've had a lot of popular or positive comments from our students. It's become a popular piece to look at. So we also put a big Indian head above the wrestling door, so that room just has a lot of wide open spaces and a lot of great paint. So this was really good at dressing it up. If you haven't had a chance to pop in, please do so. I know we have a board meeting scheduled there here coming up soon, so you'll get a chance to see it if you don't get to pop in on your own time. Our professional development, that's been touched on in terms of Writing Revolution. I think our teachers are doing a good job with that. I've been impressed with our professional development at the high school level. Again, teachers are having the right conversations and really buckling down and trying to move forward with obviously instructional practice, but really the culture and the programming in our building. And we have teachers also attend the Capturing Kids' Hearts training and really just want to work on making that an environment that kids want to be in and is inviting and also supportive of what kids need to be successful. The last thing I'll touch on is just that Delaney Avers from PACT has come in and done some advertising across our lunchtime. We actually have 12 students that have partnered with PACT now and are going to be a part of different boards that they have. And those students are going to attend those board meetings and get some hands-on involvement with what PACT does in our community and seeing how they can maybe help benefit our community in the future.
We're good. I appreciate the fact that our administrators seem to be looking ahead when our students are not. That the end is coming.
We're gonna get them there.
Yeah. Who's next?
I think that's probably me. First off, sorry that the meeting today is not at Lakeview. We had a game tonight, so we'll look, Brian and I have already looked at some of the board meetings and we'll get with Mike and get a meeting at Lakeview this year still too. Had a wonderful week last week. Not that I want Terry to have to be out all the time, but it was really fun to get to go to her building for a large portion of the week and cover the building and get to be engaged with students like that. Really had a good time. She's got a great staff there, and also thanks to Jared for covering the times that I couldn't cover to be there. So and Jenny for lending Jared to that. We had our first calendar committee meeting this morning, and then went to Ottumwa for our budget meeting to learn about all the hearings we need to do this spring and everything. So that was a good time. Kudos, I just wanted to say kudos to, I'll say Sam and Jared. So Sam used to be Miss Titch's, now Zotz, who works in our front office here, and then Jared Johnston. 95% of the things you see on Facebook from the district this year, which if you're a Facebooker, you probably noticed that the quantity and quality of Facebook posts says really had an uptick, except for the stuff Julie did last year was good, but they have put together a lot of material for us on there and really showcased a lot of our activities. So you see all those celebrations for 100th wins, 1000th points, things like that. They've really put a big effort into that. And I watched Jared do one that we're going to put out later in the week on all the activities we offer. And I'm really glad somebody else knows how to do that because I'm not artsy enough for that apparently. So just a really cool thing, and I'm really appreciative of having that. And that goes with that idea of advertising our school and what we do. So that's been a big topic of conversation with me, with the admin team, kind of recently, and it's going to kind of be something that we build on to figure out our best way to get the word out about what's going on. It's great.
Any questions? I think we're ready for board takeaways.
No.
No, one more. Well, oh, excuse me. Personnel. How did I let that over?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of all the personnel options, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I think we're ready now for board takeaways. I think we start with Mr. Johnson. I'm not sure.
Well, you make it easy this time. Should be last time. Well, I guess and it's all right if other people say the same person, but what Mike said tonight, it just shows how important it is that these jobs, we got to, all of us got to work and do the best we can to try to get more people to do that. And also, you know, Kate's job doesn't seem like much fun to me, but I think we gotta just do the best we can at that. I think it's a positive situation. Do the best we can in that, but I appreciate the, you know, when you have that kind of frustration, it doesn't seem like things are quite, so we got to back them along. That's all.
Mr. Whiskers.
Couple things. One, I appreciate that Amber chimed in because that tells me that people are watching this and they're engaged. So, and you know, I was thinking, there's so much that we don't know as board members that we need that kind of information. So I appreciate her and I appreciate you sharing all that. The other thing I would say is just want to thank the boosters and the foundation for contributing to the weight room. As I thought about that through the meeting, I looked in the room, there are 4 people. Myself, Mr. Thomas, Lisa, Mr. Moore, Ms. Swanson, I should say, I'm doing the things, that were in here talking 4 years ago about the budget on the building when the previous superintendent and past principal came in and says, we're going to reuse all of our weight equipment. We don't need a budget. And we took that out of the budget 4 years ago. And so for it to come up as a need last year like it did, and having gone through all the financial pain of the COVID price increase on that building, I really appreciate that the Booster Foundation's financially kicked up to help us get over the hurdle, because we were never planning on replacing, because 4 years ago we were told that we weren't. And with that, it is kind of amazing that the number of faces that have changed in this room in 4 years. I've just been a little bit mind boggled by that tonight as I've thought through this takeaway.
Heard a lot of good things tonight, but I want to thank Kate and Mike for bringing forth things that are challenges and give us a better understanding of the things that you do on a daily basis, and I really appreciate that. And I'll keep it short.
Mr. Moore.
No, I think I'm gonna echo stuff. I think the director report was terrific and gave us inside stuff that we don't normally get. So thank you very much for that information. I do want to say that about a month or so ago, I took a activities trip to another district, and it was during the daytime hours, and my senses, I was almost sick to my stomach watching the security measures at the school that I was at. It was pretty much non-existent. So thank you to our staff at all levels for the security measures that you guys do every day, and the watching over our students and staff, because I was just sick watching this other district, a little bit larger than ours, but I couldn't believe it. So thank you very much for the way you take security at our districts. Thank you very much. And then one more thing, you know, you mentioned the pre-K kind of gets left behind a little bit. We do the school resource officer thing, and a lot of times we forget about the pre-K. Not gonna lie, most of us, because most of us are scared to death of the little ones. But I did go in there a couple of weeks ago, and if any of you get the chance to do the Good Morning Dance, go ahead and do that.
Can you demonstrate that?
No, I cannot. No, I'm still worn out from it from 2 weeks ago. So that's my feeling.
Mr. Carter.
Next time you go down there, please let me go, and I will live stream it.
There might be a picture or video
Oh,
somewhere.
Great. I'm sure there is.
That's good. No, again, echoing, you know, what Tim said, we love hearing the good, but we also want to hear some of the challenges. I mean, that's what we're here for. We can't solve everything overnight, but we also can't try to work together to fix something if we don't know what's there. So we do appreciate that. I don't know if my homeowners association would like it, but if you want to put a bus in my front yard, I would drop it off, you know, with a big banner. And Terry, I was a little taken aback by your report as well. I was like, oh man, we're putting some teeth in this. And then so, Michael, why did you ask that before I got to it? Because it's good to hear that. Because we're not just pushing them through. We're there for the kids, and that's fantastic. Yeah, just a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff going on at the schools. The banners in the high school were fantastic. Yeah. Things are looking good.
All
Mr.
right.
President. Oh, one more,
go
shameless plug, you can find me tomorrow, Wednesday at Rotary Hospital Conference Room A and B. You can be docked guests as we celebrate our Howard and CHS students of the month.
Yeah, if you can make it.
Lunch is on us.
See, there you go. All right. I too think the bus driver problem is one we have to solve. And our solution will have to be something that nobody else is doing. Okay, because everybody else is doing the same thing we are, and they're all getting the same results. We gotta come up with something that's really different and really works. My last takeaway is the March 19th at the high school. If you didn't go last year, you better go this year, because it is something to see. It is really good. I think we're gonna make a few changes to it this year.
Well, they're adding some businesses too.
Yeah.
So I think I can't remember how many, but there's more businesses in it.
And the old gym was full.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
was jam-packed.
Correct.
The other thing is,
Get your extension cords ready.
we're also hoping to showcase Centerville High School when other schools bring their students over. So that's part of our bait and switch. We're gonna bait them in here and get them to switch to us. So, we'll see where that goes. I'm open to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion passes.